Due to mature subject matter, viewer discretion is advised.
Ramaphosa also urged white South Africans not to leave their country, but to share their knowledge and experience after their land is taken from them. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa reaffirms his intent to seize white-owned properties without compensation, saying without the land reform the country will remain divided. Ramaphosa made his remarks last week at an event dedicated to the 100th anniversary of Afrikaner Bond, a white South African organization.
We have taken steps to end white privilege and correct past injustices, whether it be in employment, as regards employment equity, black economic empowerment, and preferential procurement.
Ramaphosa stressed the land must be redistributed equally among all South African citizens, regardless of existing property rights. South Africa's looming land reform has already produced violent clashes and premature land grabs across the country, whilst the number of farm murders against white South Africans skyrocketed, amounting at hundreds per year. In its recent report, civil rights group AfriForum said 100 farm murders against white South Africans happened in the first 3 months of this year alone.
It basically deals with people coming onto the farm from outside of the property and committing these crimes on the property, either to inflict harm to the family or the people living there. Doesn't necessarily have to be the farmer, it could be the farm workers as well, or to damage the property with the aim of disrupting farming activities.
At the Afrikaner Bond event, Ramaphosa also urged white South Africans not to leave their country, but to share their knowledge and experience after their land is taken from them. A major international lender, the World Bank, endorses South Africa's looming land reform, which focuses on the expropriation of white-owned properties without compensation. In its new report, the World Bank said the land grabs contemplated by South Africa's black majority government would promote inclusiveness and equality. The Afrikaner resistance movement and rights groups are now saying the ANC is conducting the policy of white genocide through economic and political means. In the wake of the land reform debate, they say the measure is depriving them of their livelihood, and that's exactly the reform the World Bank is endorsing.
Victory will only be victory if the land is restored in the hands of rightful owners. And rightful owners, unashamedly, is black people. No white person is a rightful owner of the land. Here in South Africa.
While some Afrikaners are preparing to defend their farms, others are seeking asylum in Australia and other countries as victims of white genocide. Yet the international community remains silent on South Africa's unraveling humanitarian catastrophe.
China will be able to track down every new car in the country starting next year. The Wall Street Journal said June 13th that the Chinese government will make it mandatory to put an electronic identification chip on the windshield of a car. The radio frequency identification, or RFID chip, will be installed on new cars when they're registered starting July 1st. This year it's voluntary, but all new vehicles must comply at the start of next year. The government hopes this will help reduce pollution and prevent terrorism, but some people are raising concerns that it will be used as another surveillance tool for the government to monitor its citizens.
The national anthem to celebrate a historic vote. Emotion was high among those who wanted to legalize abortion in Argentina.
I can't stop crying because we are together. This is a fight. There are so many emotions. We know that a lot of things are missing, but we are still moving forward. We have worked so hard. We've been ignored for so long, and today we are making history.
The debate lasted for 23 hours, and the vote was very close, especially when two congressmen changed sides and decided to support the law. For months, women here wearing green bandanas have been taken to the streets to change a law that affects this country's most vulnerable.
the last decade, Argentina has passed a series of progressive reforms like gay marriage, but abortion was off the table until now, when society started to demand change.
Especially women and young people who took to the streets demanding change. A green revolution has taken over large sectors of Argentina's society. They have managed to convince lawmakers that legalizing abortion is a matter of public health that urgently needs to be addressed. Cynthia Docio believes the country is not ready.
There are a lot of steps that should be taken prior to passing this law. A lot of education needs to happen. People have to know that if you do something, there are consequences, and one of those is getting pregnant.
Nearly 9 million have watched the video, and many have weighed in about the security pat-down of a 96-year-old woman in a wheelchair.
What the hell do you think she's going to do? Set off a shoe bomb?
This happened at Dulles Airport outside Washington. The woman's daughter complained that the search was, quote, prolonged and repetitive. It lasted for 6 minutes. She was chosen at random for extra screening. The TSA says the officers did what they're trained to do.
An IBM computer has won against two experienced human debaters.
If I may put it a bit differently, subsidizing space exploration is like investing in really good tires.
These are the words of artificial intelligence. The company unveiled the system it has been working on for more than 5 years in San Francisco, June 18th. The Project Debater demonstrates computers are getting better at learning human language and speech. The computers matched against two humans, and their arguments were judged by an audience in attendance. IBM selects the topics, but neither the human debaters nor the computer get them in advance. The computer pulls in evidence from its memory of hundreds of millions of newspapers, journals, and other sources in real time and uses it to support its argument.
The CDC study out today shows half of the country has seen a more than 30% increase in suicide rates from 1999 to 2016.
Over 200 prescription medications list depressive symptoms or suicidal thinking as possible side effects. A new study in the Journal of the American Medical Association shows the nearly 4 out of 10 Americans who take at least one of these drugs experience more depression than people who don't take them. Depression risk increases with every additional drug taken. Psychiatrist Peter Breggin, author of Medication Madness, says the study points to the dark side of so-called wonder drugs.
Some drugs will do it more than others. Chantix, for example, which is used for allowing you to stop smoking, has a very high rate of violent feelings, suicidal feelings. Lariam, it's an antibiotic that's been associated with violence. Accutane, which is a drug that is used for acne, it's so much associated with suicidal behavior.
Breggin says too many doctors don't talk about possible side effects of the drugs they prescribe, and too many patients don't read the warning labels.
Any drug that is affecting your mind, your mood, your feelings has the potential to cause a disaster. Most of the school shooters have been on psychiatric drugs, and a great number of them were on psychiatric drugs at the time or shortly before they committed violence. And violence and suicide go together. It's, are you going to turn your rage out? Or are you going to turn your rage inward?
Planned Parenthood is targeting teen girls in a series of ads on Facebook, and one of the ads features a condom on a banana, while another declares that sex is hot and bad sex ed is not. Tell me, how did you first learn about these Planned Parenthood ads that are targeting teen girls on Facebook, and what are they trying to convince the girls to do?
Yeah, we noticed it on Twitter, Heather, and as usual, Planned Parenthood, a criminal organization, is using our funding, taxpayer dollars, to advertise sex being great, sex being hot, to kids, to minors, in violation of even Facebook's rules. I thought that safe sex ed was supposed to be all about teaching kids how to not have sex, not teaching kids how to engage in sexual activity. Parents never intended for their taxpayer money to go toward teaching kids by a criminal organization which profits off of girls getting pregnant so that they then go to that organization to get their birth control and their abortions. Parents never intended for their funds to be utilized for these sorts of purposes.
Do you know if they are removing the ads? Have you been in touch with them?
I have not heard that they are removing the ads. They should, and Planned Parenthood, should not be allowed to target children for sexuality. And when I tried to simply boost and advertise posts from Sex Ed Sit Out, the campaign that we were doing, I wasn't allowed to even boost those, not because I was advertising sex to kids, but because I was advertising protesting pornographic sex ed to kids in public schools. So the hypocrisy and the total inability to be fair to people on opposing sides is really glaring and obvious with Facebook.